Jai Gurudev. So, Ratna Paduka Prabhabhabhi Rama Pada Yugamakam. Bhagwan Bhairav's divine feet shine with the radiance of a gem-studded sandals. How is this symbolic of art of living practices like Padma Sadhana and Vedic traditions like Pada Sevanam or Charan Puja? Yes, in Art of Living, the divine feet are not mere poetic metaphors, they represent total grounding and surrender. During Padma Sadhana, we begin by invoking the lotus within, firmly anchoring our attention in the body and breath. This is like touching the feet of the divine within. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji often explains that when the mind surrenders at the feet of the infinite, we gain stability in chaos, just as the feet of Bhairava are studded with ratnas or gems. Every sincere kriya or sadhana session becomes a jewel, glowing with healing and strength. The practice purifies and roots the practitioner. In Vedic tradition, we have Padasevanam, which means serving and meditating upon the Lord's feet. It's a practice both ritualistic and yogic in Charan Puja done during Guru Purnima or Upanayana. The feet of the Guru or deity are bathed, perfumed, and worshipped because that is where the blessings flow from. We also touch the Guru's feet before and after Sandhya Vandanam to symbolize humility before knowledge. Bhairav's feet represent time's base, the present moment. Rituals like Pada Abhisheka with Gangajal symbolize stabilizing the mind in the now, which is the doorway to moksha. Nityam Advitiyam Ishtadaivatam Niranjanam. Kalabhairava is eternal, non dual, one's is personal deity and pure. How are these qualities embodied in art of living courses like Sahat Samadhi meditation, silence retreat, and Vedic samskaras like Upanayana and Gayatri Japa? Sahat Samadhi meditation allows one to effortlessly enter the non dual space where the mind dissolves and only awareness remains. This is the Advitiya state Gurudev speaks of, being in stillness, free from concepts. In silence retreats, participants often realize their Ishta Devata naturally, whether Bhairava, Devi, Krishna, or formless Shiva. The personal deity emerges when the mind becomes quiet. Gurudev teaches that Ishta Devata is the gateway to the infinite. In this purity of Niranjanam, healing begins whether you are a corporate leader or a seeker. These programs create the space for this deep inner experience of oneness. Upanayana is the Vedic initiation into this very Advaitiyam consciousness, the sacred thread. Yajnopavitam reminds the seeker of the eternal flame within. Daily Gayatri Japa protects and purifies the intellect, aligning it with the cosmic wisdom. When the seeker chants Om Bhur Bhuvasva, it's not just a mantra, it's a movement from individual to universal awareness. Performing Sandhya Vandanam 3 times daily preserves the Niranjana state. Bhairava is not just worshipped in temples, his essence is preserved through disciplined inner alignment. The seeker's Ishta Devata becomes the anchor for Advaitic realization. Mrityu Darpanashanam, Bhairava destroys the pride of death. How do art of living programs like happiness program, blessing scores, and Vedic rituals like Mahamrityunjaya Homa help transcend fear, illness, and mortality? Yes, the happiness program, which teaches Sudarshan Kriya, is the first step toward conquering fear, especially the subconscious fear of death. Breath is the bridge between life and death. When participants do the Kriya, trauma buried in cellular memory is released. The blessing course taught by senior faculty members enables one to channel healing intention not from ego but from presence. Gurudev also always reminds us death is like deep rest. When we meditate, we are rehearsing peace. Bhairav's presence is evoked in every breath of surrender. Practitioners often report a dramatic drop in anxiety, better sleep, and deep inner strength. Indeed, in the Vedic path, Mahamrityunjaya Homa is a profound fire ritual that invokes a Triambakam Rudra, the eye of timeless truth. We chant Om Triambakam Yajamahe to dissolve the illusion of mortality and fortify Ojas or vital energy. Agni Karim done at sunrise and sunset realigns the subtle body, strengthening pranic flow. Those suffering from chronic illness or undergoing medical procedures are recommended Kaal Bhairava Japa, especially on Ashtami Tithis. Bhairava liberates us not by stopping death, but by dissolving its psychological grip. This makes recovery or peaceful transition more graceful. Karala Damsata Mokshanam, liberation through Bhairav's terrifying fangs. How is this force of constructive destruction harnessed in advanced AL programs like Sanyam Level 1, Sanyam Level 2, Guru Puja Phase 1, Guru Puja Phase 2, or Vedic austerities like sadhana, fasting, and homa? Yes, in Sanyam program of level 1 and level 2, we invite this exact Bhairava quality. Participants go through silence, fasting, advanced kriyas, and deep inquiry, shedding layer after layer of ego, attachment, and mental rigidity. It's intense, it's fierce, but it's liberating. That's the Damshtra, the fangs that cut through comfort and illusion. Guru Puja phase 1 and phase 2, though softer, invokes the same vibration through reverence. Gurudev often says, the Guru destroys ignorance like the fire burns dry grass. That fire is Bhairava. Navratri advanced courses also embody this, the offering participants a chance to let go of identities and emerge renewed. A tradition honors this principle through niyama or discipline or vrats or fast and tapas or austerities. For example, during Shivaratri, devotees chant the Kalabhairava Ashtakam in full fast through the night, breaking through bodily limitations. Homas like Durga Homa or Chandi Homa also evoke the Bhairava force not as rage but as catalytic clarity. Just as teeth chew food or for digestion, Bhairava's fangs digest karma. In Sannyasa Diksha, when the renunciate takes vows, it's seen as passing through Bhairav's fangs, leaving behind fear, greed, and lust. Every advanced spiritual leap is guarded by Bhairav's destructive grace. Kashika Puradinatha Kala Bhairavam Bhaje. Salutations to the Lord of Kashi. How is this honored in Art of Living's vision of inner Kashi through seva and silence, and in Vedic Dharma through pilgrimage, mantra, and mandala worship? In the Art of Living, Kashi is not just a city, it's the inner seat of spiritual brilliance, awakened through seva, silence, and satsang. Gurudev says, when the mind is still, Kashi appears within every volunteer, whether teaching rural children or organizing a yoga camp. Is walking in Kashi. Seva makes the ego disappear. Bhairava stands at the threshold in silence retreats. Practitioners often experience a luminous stillness where the inner Kashi unfolds, words drop, identity fades, and the sacred remains. That is Bhairava's realm of timeless, alert, and sacred. Kashi is the Moksha Sthana or the place of liberation. We honor it through Kashi Vishwanath Yatra, Bhairav Mandir Seva, and chanting Kala Bhairava Ashtakam at dawn and dusk. But more than location, Kashi is awakened in the heart. When Sandhya Vandanam is done, facing east during sunrise, the Agya Chakra grows. Bhairava is the guardian of this light. In Mandala Pujas, we build physical Kashi representations using flowers and yantras, but without purity and discipline. The mandala is just art. With devotion, it becomes a portal. Bhairava guards this portal, and we worship him not with fear, but with absolute clarity and reverence. Now, Ratna Paduka Prabhabi Ramapada Yugamakam. His gem studded sandals shine with brilliance. How does this apply with IT and information desk seva and art of living? The divine sandals of Bhairava reflect clarity, grace, and readiness to serve at the information desk or reception. Your digital dashboard, FAQs, visitor apps, and communication tone should shine like Bhairava's padukas, offering stability and sparkle. Gurudev says, be centered yet warm, whether you are welcoming someone at the Bangalore Ashram reception or answering queries via digital platforms. Your voice, UI design, signage, or tone can act as luminous feet, inviting seekers into the divine space. Make your desk visually clean, spiritually vibrant, fragrance, a picture of Gurudev, perhaps a Bhairava yantra, and technically responsive. Your words must reflect truth and warmth, as firm and kind as Bhairava's feet on earth. In Vedic Agama tradition, the first entry into a temple or sacred place is protected by Bhairava, the Dwarapalaka or the gatekeeper energy at the entrance is where Bhairava resides. The Ratna Padukas are a reminder that every soul crossing the threshold is pressure. Reception sevaks and IT teams become these gatekeepers not just logistically but spiritually. Every welcome message, badge printout, or digital query answered with reverence becomes an offering to Bhairava. The more organized, ethical, and centered your seva, the more the ashram radiates clarity. Nityam Advitiyam Ishta Daivatam Niranjanam. He is eternal, non dual, your beloved deity, and stainless. How can HR and IT teams working on visitor management, seva scheduling, and volunteer onboarding embody this principle? Yes, Seva scheduling, HR management, and onboarding volunteers into ashram systems requires not just software but spiritual sensitivity. The Advitiyam or non dual nature reminds us that every person we log into a system is not a data point but a living expression of the divine. Gurudev reminds us serve the person as God in disguise. So whether you are assigning rooms through a database, scheduling a Sudarshan Kriya batch, or creating a volunteer roster in Google Sheets, do it as a sacred act. Ensure equality or non-duality, transparency or niranjanam, and love or the Ishta Daivityam. This turns digital processes into meditative worship. Use soft, peaceful fonts, icons that carry a sattvic feel, and reminder emails that express warmth rather than bureaucracy. In Vedic management, task assignment is Davayagya or divine coordination. No task is small or superior. When the seeker is seen as divine, seva becomes sacred. HR and reception teams in ashrams are the modern yajmans coordinating karmic opportunities. Advitiyam here means no ego based preference, all must be welcomed. First timers or long term teachers with the same serenity, rituals like Sandhya Vandanam before beginning office desk or placing a small Bhairava image at your desk. Keep the mind pure while navigating digital stress and human interaction. Mrityu Darpanashanam, he destroys the arrogance of death. How can this idea help a reception and IT staff handle impatient or distressed visitors, digital crisis, or seva burnout with spiritual steadiness? Receptionists and information desk sevaks are often the first point of contact for seekers facing anxiety, confusion, or even emotional pain. Similarly, IT seva can get stressful during system outages, last-minute event registrations, or data loss. Here, Mrityu Darpanashanam is a reminder: destroy the panic, the ego clinging to urgency. Gurudev teaches that death is not the opposite of life. It's a moment when we recognize that everything is fleeting. We stop overreacting. A receptionist who smiles, listens, and redirects without agitation is invoking Bhairava. An IT sevak who responds to chaos with centeredness, awareness, is enacting Bhairava's grace. Play Kaal Bhairava Ashtakam softly in your office. Do 1 minute breath awareness before responding to tickets or emails, maybe on CRM desk. Keep a quote from Gurudev visible: in stillness you conquer time, or something like that. So Bhairava represents Kalagni Rudra, the fire of time that burns fear in reception seva. Expect impermanent systems crash, moods fluctuate, visitors panic, there could be fights, shouting. When you anticipate this with inner stillness, you reflect Bhairava. Offer a silent prayer. May my words liberate, not entangle. Chanting the Mahamrityunjay mantra mentally before opening your laptop or answering a difficult call creates a shield. Bhairava removes not just fear of physical death, but the psychological fatigue of expectation. A steady sevak is the real temple protector. Karala Damstra Mokshanam. His fierce fangs liberate. How can IT and desk sevaks embody this fierce grace? From clarity with loving service in managing queues, guest flow, complaints, and disorganization. Yes, sometimes reception and seva require firmness. Visitors may overstep boundaries, argue over room assignments, or question schedules. Bhairava teaches fierce compassion, the ability to speak truth clearly without personal aggression. Gurudev says, don't confuse being spiritual with being weak. When you say no firmly, explain policy kindly, and protect the sanctity of the space with love, and you enact Karala Damstra Mokshanam. You cut the root of confusion in IT. This may mean enforcing data hygiene, deleting improper entries, or standing by correct protocol despite pressure. Start the day with 3 rounds of Ujjayi breath before logging in, and read a passage from Celebrating Silence to refresh inner conviction. Keep a small Kalabhairava yantra or picture near your reception desk or server console. Bhagwan Bhairava carries a danda or staff to guard dharma. As a sevak, you are that danda in ritual spaces. The bhakta must also be protected from their own impatience or confusion, so be soft but never compromise on timing, ethics, or sacred boundaries. A front desk sevak who delays a puja for a VIP is not serving Bhairava. Firmness, when guided by dharma, is liberation. You may say, Bhairava Shakti protects the schedule. Let's honor that. That clarity cuts karma. Kashika Puradinatha Kala Bhairavam Bhaji. I bow to the Lord of Kashi. How does this verse inspire a sacred atmosphere and a sacred tech at the ashram or public reception centers? Gurudev often says this entire campus is alive with consciousness. The entrance, the help desk, even the Wi Fi logging page all must reflect the vibration of Kashi, luminosity, clarity, and grace. If you are handling digital platforms or volunteer check ins, ensure the design reflects peace, soft colors, sacred symbols, and the tone of writing is respectful, not mechanical. A small Bhairava image is placed at the entrance, facing the path of entry. Visitors are welcome with a smile, a deep breath, and a sacred glance. In this way, even IT becomes an upasana, and Bhairava guards the gateway to the inner temple. Kashi is the realm where duality ends and only light remains. Your seva space, whether a digital portal or welcome desk, is that Kashi. Clean it daily, light a lamp near it, do Panchakshari Japa silently while working, or do Om Namah Shivaya. Serve with the awareness that each person entering is a soul destined for transformation. If reception and HR function with this sacred intention, the entire organization vibrates like Kashi. So the verse starts by praising the radiant gem-studded feet of Bhairava. How can students and professionals build a foundation of brilliance in their education and career akin to the shining Ratna Padukas? Yes, the gem-studded feet symbolize a firm, radiant foundation built on values and consistent effort. For students and professionals, this foundation is made of regular discipline practice, ethical integrity, and mindful presence. Gurudev stresses that success comes not just from knowledge but from the radiance of character. Values like humility, dedication, and compassion out of living courses, such as life skills for students, mindfulness for professionals, and leadership programs instill these qualities. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya enhance concentration and memory, while meditation and silence develop mental clarity. The gem like qualities come from these spiritual jewels embedded in everyday work habits. This foundation helps one shine distinctly in competitive fields, much like Bhairav's feet that illuminate Kashi. In Vedic culture, the feet represent the support of knowledge and dharma. Education viewed as a sacred journey, beginning with Guru Paduka Puja or Guru Paduka Stotram, symbolizing respect for the knowledge source. When students honor their teachers and learning with reverence, their education becomes a Ratna Samudra or an ocean of gems. In career, this translates to adherence to dharmic principles, avoiding shortcuts and ego driven competition. One's work becomes a form of seva or selfless service, which Bhairava's feet represent. This foundation provides mental stability and protects against the instability of external success or failure. So Nityam Advitiyam Ishtadaivatam Niranjanam. How does cultivating the eternal non-dual awareness and purity support lifelong learning and career growth? Yes, lifelong learning and career growth demand adaptability and inner stability. Gurudev teaches that Advitya means not getting caught in dualities like success, failure, praise, criticism, promotion, demotion. When students and professionals cultivate this non dual awareness through meditation and self inquiry, they develop resilience and equanimity. For example, during career setbacks, instead of reacting with frustration, they learn to observe emotions and choose constructive responses. Programs like emotional intelligence workshops and Sahat Samadhi meditation foster this inner purity or Niranjanam, enabling focus and creativity. The Ishtadaivatam, the personal ideal or inner guide, keeps one motivated and aligned with purpose rather than chasing external validation. This spiritual clarity helps make wise choices and sustain passion over decades. From the Vedic standpoint, this is about self realization beyond material identities. Education and career are seen as instruments to realize the self, the eternal Atman beyond transient roles. Daily Gayatri Japa and Sandhya Vandanam purify the mind and intellect, helping the learner move beyond fragmented thinking. In the corporate world, this equates to ethical decision making, team harmony, and vision beyond profits. When leaders and employees embody this purity, organizations strive with integrity and innovation. This state of being also helps one maintain work life balance, reduce burnout, and sustain ethical standards. The verse calls Bhairava Mrityu Darpanashanam, destroyer of the pride of death. How can this inspire students and professionals to overcome fear, procrastination, and anxiety, which often impede success? Yes, fear of failure, rejection, or inadequacy is a common obstacle. Gurudeva emphasizes that fear arises from the ego's attachment to I and mine. Bhairav's power destroys his pride, this fear based identity, helping one approach challenges with their courage. In art of living courses, techniques like Sudarshan Kriya regulate the nervous system, reducing stress hormones. Guided meditations help participants face inner fears and release procrastination. For example, a student afraid of exams learns to respond with calm, clarity, and confidence. A professional facing workplace pressures, deadlines, presentations uses breath and mindfulness to stay composed and productive. This destroys the pride of death, the false idea the failure or mistakes are catastrophic, allowing for growth and learning. In Vedic wisdom, pride of death includes the fear of loss and impermanence. Rituals such as Mahamrityunjaya mantra chanting empower aspirants to accept change as natural. The Upanayam Samskar marks the beginning of embracing responsibility without fear. In career and education, this means cultivating a mindset that sees setbacks as lessons, not endings. Bhairava inspires one to confront the unknown with inner strength, turning obstacles into stepping stones. The psychological burden of fear dissolves, replaced by joy in effort itself. Karala Damshtra Mokshanam, the liberation through Bhairava's fears of fangs. How can this translate into embracing constructive challenges, failures, and tough decisions for personal and professional transformation? Yes, this versus fears image reminds us that true growth often comes through painful but necessary change. Gurudev explains that Bhairav's fangs represent the courage to break through illusions, comfort zones, limiting beliefs, and toxic relationships. A student who embraces failure as feedback is liberated from fear. A professional who makes tough ethical choices may face resistance but grows in integrity. An entrepreneur willing to pivot or cut losses embodies Bhairav's fears grace. Art of living programs like Sayam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 help deepen one's capacity for such inner transformation through silence, discipline, and inner reflection, self reflection. The pain of growth is a temporary, liberation and expansion are permanent. In Vedic discipline, austerities or tapas and fasts cultivate this fierce liberation. Career and education require similar austerity, long hours of study, ethical integrity, and the discipline to stay focused despite distractions. Bhairav's fangs also symbolize discrimination or viveka, the ability to serve unproductive attachments, severe unproductive attachments. This is essential to avoid burnout and to maintain clarity in life's purpose. Vedic rituals during critical phases like Upanayanam and Sandhya Vandanam instill this clarity, making one fearless in decision making and open to transformation. Kashika Puradinatha Kala Bhairavam Bhaje. Bhairava as the Lord of Kashi. How does this inspire building an inner Kashi, a seat of wisdom and clarity for a successful, fulfilling life and career? Yes, the Kashi, the city of light and liberation, is a metaphor for the inner sanctuary of wisdom and peace. Gurudev teaches that success without inner fulfillment is hollow. Cultivating your inner Kashi means regularly entering states of silence, reflection, and gratitude. Art of Living says silence retreats, meditation courses, and seva cultivate this inner city where mental chatter calms, priorities becomes clear, and one's work aligns with dharma. This inner kashi becomes a source of creativity, resilience, and joy, allowing one to navigate career challenges with grace and balance. Yes, from the Vedic view, Kashi is the seat of ultimate knowledge, where the individual soul meets the universal self. When aspirants perform daily Sandhya Vandanam, Gayatri Japa, and maintain ethical discipline, they build this sacred space internally. Such grounding leads to steady decision making, compassionate leadership, and harmonious relationships. Hallmarks of a successful life. Bhairava, as the guardian of Kashi, reminds seekers that true victory is a mastery over the mind and time. This mastery supports all external achievements and sustainability. If yes, so Ratna Paduka Prabhabi Ramapada Yugamakam. The feet of Bhairava shine with the brilliance of gem studded sandals. How does this apply to developing a sharp, elegant approach to executing tasks of all sizes? The radiant sandals symbolize clarity, readiness, and grace in action. Gurudev often says skill in action is yoga. To approach any task, small or large, with gem like precision, one must begin with a centered state of mind, identify key outcomes or clarity, and engage with total presence or attention to detail. For example, when doing a small task like drafting an email or organizing a cupboard, treat it with the same reverence as a larger project. A Padma Sadhana practice in the morning helps ground a body mind complex so your every movement becomes mindful and efficient, like the divine steps of Bhairava. In our tradition, karma is sacred. Even the smallest action is part of the cosmic rhythm. The brilliance of Bhairava's feet mirrors the auspicious beginning of a task. Before any task, chanting Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha followed by mental obeisance to Bhairava infuses the act with focus and purity. Whether it's plucking flowers for a puja or conducting a yagya, the attitude of worship transforms work into art. The gems represent mantra, breath, discipline, and sincerity, qualities that adorn one's actions. Even complicated projects should begin with a symbolic mental blow at Bhairava's feet. Nityam Advitiyam Ishtadaivatam Niranjanam. How does a non dual, pure, and inspired approach help one see every task as sacred and approach it with consistent skill and devotion? Most people categorize tasks as important or mundane, leading to inconsistent focus. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji teaches Advaitam, or seeing no task as higher or lower, only opportunities to express excellence. A leader answering emails with the same attention as giving a keynote speech reflects the oneness in action. Regular Sahat Samadhi meditation helps dissolve inner resistance, making even tedious tasks feel fulfilling. When you begin your workday with gratitude and silence, the most complex tasks unfold with less effort. This is the Niranjanam effect, the clarity that removes confusion, ensuring efficiency. From the Vedic lens, task fragmentation weakens the mind. A true karma yogi does not prefer one type of work over another. That's why sanskaras like Brahmopadesha or Upanayanam teach children to perform Sandhya Vandanam and study with equal respect. When every action is preceded by a mantra or mental salutation to one's Ishta Devata, it purifies intent. This is the Advitiya path, non egoic action rooted in Dharma. So, whether it's designing a temple mandala or managing a donor data, performing it with Ishwar Arpanam, or offering to the divine Mrityu Darpanashanam, Bhairava destroys the pride of death. How does this translate into removing procrastination, fear of failure, and overthinking when attempting complex tasks? Complex tasks often paralyze people due to the subconscious fear of what if I fail. Gurudev reminds us perfection is a process, not an obsession. True Sudarshan Kriya, fear based stagnation, is released from the nervous system. One becomes free to act without the fear of judgment or failure. A powerful technique used in the art of living is seva. Break large tasks into micro actions and breathe deeply between transitions. Doing so builds momentum and mastery. As fear dissolves, you no longer postpone or overthink, you simply flow. The fear of failures is likened to avidya or ignorance in Vedic thought. To remove this, we chant the Mahamrityunjay mantra before beginning complex activities. This reduces emotional charge and aligns the buddhi or the intellect with sattva or purity. In ancient rituals, even building a fire altar required precision and no procrastination. Bhairav's energy was invoked to maintain inner strength. For students or professionals today, this could mean reciting a short japa before preparing a presentation, or tackling a difficult report, or learning something very technical for a very long time. That inner invocation burns fear and initiates flow. Karala damstra mokshanam is fear's fangs liberate. How can we apply this to cutting through complexity, delays, distractions, or indecisiveness in executing large scale projects or responsibilities? In today's fast paced world, we are inundated with information and distractions. Bhairav's Karala Damstras are like the fierce clarity required to cut through digital noise and emotional clutter. In leadership and execution, Gurudev recommends saying no to multitasking and instead focus sharply on one task at a time. Create sacred time slots, no phone, no interruptions for deep work, and use breath breaks between meetings to maintain freshness. This approach, inspired by Bhairava intensity, prevents fatigue and boosts output. In Sanyam program of level 1 and level 2, silence brings sharpness, making participants laser focused even after the course ends. In Yagyas, the mantras has to be exact. There is no room for vagueness. Similarly, every successful task must pass through the Damstra or the fang of precision, whether it's building a temple, reciting the Vedas, or managing funds. The Vedic mind is trained to act with decisive clarity. Invoke Bhairava before decision making. May I act with firmness and dharma. Take one strong step. It need not be perfect. Bhairava rewards momentum born of conviction. Daily Trikal Sandhya sharpens this inner sword. Kashi ka Puradinath Kaal Bhairavam Bhaje. Lord of Kashi, how does worshipping Bhairava within help in consistently managing and completing tasks with joy, presence, and balance? Kashi is the inner clarity, a city of light and clarity. Gurudev often says, when the mind is free of craving and aversion, you are in Kashi. In this space, your work becomes sacred. Whether it's managing business, designing code, or teaching a class, or cleaning your room, treat the task as ritual in Kashi. Begin with 1 minute of silence or chanting, smile as you work, and offer the outcome to the divine. You will notice that the task completes more quickly, with fewer errors and greater joy. Even your to do list becomes a sadhana. When you perform your karma from your inner Kashi, Bhairava becomes your project manager. Just as temples are built on ritual precision and silence, your life becomes sacred architecture when every task is performed in a state of alert surrender. We often teach young brahmacharis, do everything as if Bhairava is watching, not in fear but with honor. When you do so, delays vanish, distractions disappear, and the simplest actions gains divine weight. Even in modern careers, be it in medicine, tech, teaching, law, this awareness transforms work into liberation in action or karma mukti. So Ratna Paduka Prabhabhiram Padavya Yugmakam. Bhairava's gem-studded sandals shine beautifully. How does this imagery relate to walking towards soul consciousness or Rama consciousness? Yes, Gurudev often says the soul is not far, it is your very nature. Just remove the dust from the mirror. The gem-studded sandals symbolize the radiant steps taken in awareness. Toward that inner mirror, each gem represents a divine quality, truth, love, strength, stillness, and joy that reflects your soul's fragrance. To walk the path of Rama consciousness is to walk with Bhairav's precision and devotion. In the Ramayana of the mind, the feet are symbolic of discipline, purity, and direction. Just like Lord Ram's sandals of Paduka ruled Ayodhya in his absence, so too when you invoke Bhairav's steps within, your higher self governs the chariot of life even amidst worldly complexities. Daily tools like Sudarshan Kriya, silence, and Padma Sadhana help make each action deliberate, luminous, walking step by step to the soul. The Paduka here is a metaphor for guidance from the Guru to the higher self. In the Ramayana, Bharata places Ram's sandals on the throne. He doesn't rule out of ego. Similarly, the seeker offers ego at the feet of Bhairava and walks as a servant of Dharma, guided by soul consciousness. Every mantra chanted, every puja performed with sincerity is a step toward Rama within, who is none other than Satchitananda or truth consciousness and bliss. The gems are the Chitta Shuddhi purification of mind, processes offered in the Vedic path of Sandhya Vandanam, Gayatri Japa, Agnikaram, and silence. Nityam Advitiyam Ishtadaivatam Niranjanam. He is eternal, non dual, the chosen deity, and pure. How does this line point to the realization of the non dual Rama within? Rama consciousness is not the form of a prince, it is a non dual presence of blissful awareness that pervades all creation. Gurudev says Rama is not just a person, it's the light in your being. The line reminds us that Bhairava and Rama are not two. Advitiyam, the fierce clarity of Bhairava and the gentle purity of Rama, are polarities within the same supreme consciousness. When the mind becomes niranjana or spotless through meditation, pranayama, and wisdom, you begin to feel this inner Rama. Courses like Sehat Samadhi meditation and Sanyam program of level 1 and level 2 help establish this spaceless, timeless awareness where you are not the doer, not the thinker, but the seer. That's when the Rama Tattva reveals itself as your essence, untouched by worldly ups and downs. In the Ramayana, Rama is described as Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava, eternal, pure, awakened, and free. This is also Bhairav's nature in Kashmir Shaivism. In Agama text, the realization of Aham Brahmasmi begins with recognizing that all deities are reflections of your own awakened self. Bhairava guides the seeker through austerity, courage, and sharp discernment. To reach this Rama Tattva through daily Gayatri mantra, Sandhya rituals, and Upanayana practices, one slowly removes the stains of duality. This inner Rama or Advitiyam Niranjanam then shines forth as the true self. Mrityu Darpanashram, destroyer of the pride of death. How does this line help the seeker transcend ego, body, attachment, and fear, reaching the timeless soul state described in Ramayana? The pride of death is ego's illusion that this body is all I am and this world is all there is. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji says, when you go deep into yourself, you will realize you were never born and will never die. The Ramayana illustrates this beautifully when Lord Rama surrenders to the forest, leaving the palace behind. That's the first step towards soul consciousness, leaving identification with roles, comfort, status. Bhairav's fierce grace destroys the identification by confronting the seeker with the truth again and again. Advanced art of living retreats, silence courses, and intense practices like Shakti Kriya and Brahmacharya vows help dissolve the fear of impermanence, leading one into the eternal soul field where Rama resides. In the Vedic tradition, fear of death is moha or delusion. It binds the jiva to samsara. The Ramayana teaches that Vibhishana, Hanumana, and Lakshmana are aspects of the inner seeker who recognizes Rama as Atman and surrender to his will. Bhairav's destruction of Mrityu signifies the inner yagya, burning away of pride, doubt, and confusion. Rituals such as Antyeshti and Bhairava Ashtami worship are designed to psychologically free one from clinging. When ego dies, Rama awakens not as a concept but as a direct experience of self luminosity. Karala Damstra Mokshanam, fears fangs that liberate. How can this line be reinterpreted in the context of the inner Ramayana battle and transcendence of lower tendencies? This line reflects the internal war between Ravana and Rama, ego versus the self. Ravana symbolizes excessive intellect, desire, and power intoxicated by pride. Bhairav's fangs represent the courage to destroy the inner Ravana. The seeker must sometimes use fierce inner honesty to destroy procrastination, arrogance, and inertia. Gurudev says real strength is in going through the fire of discipline. Practices like sadhana, seva, and satsang carve the mind into a fit vessel for Rama consciousness. When fear's introspection meets compassion, liberation occurs. Bhairav's fangs don't harm, they sever illusions, releasing the soul from bondage. This is beautifully illustrated in Vedic yagyas where Agni consumes the offering not out of anger but to liberate the soul of its bondage. Similarly, Bhairav's damstras cut through Kama, Krodha, Moha, the demonic forces within. In the Ramayana, the death of Ravana is the death of the last inner impurity. The Ramayana is not a story, it's a coded map of the journey from ignorance to self realization. Bhairav's energy catalyzes this battle, and the final victory of Rama is nothing but moksha. Kashika Puradinatha Kala Bhairavam Bhaji, Lord of Kashi. How does this signify the merging into Rama consciousness, the illuminated soul realized state where the inner Ramayana completes? Yes, Gurudev says Kashi is not just a place, it's a state of consciousness where all opposites dissolve. In that state, your mind becomes Varanasi, the city of inner light. Rama consciousness arises when duality ends, when the seeker and the sought become one. When Bhairava is worshipped within, he becomes a gatekeeper to your inner Kashi, where Rama eternally resides. There, the Ramayana ends not with the coronation, but dissolution. The throne of Ayodhya is the stillness of the self. The inner Sita returns to source and Hanuman or devotion becomes breath itself. Advanced programs like Sanyam program of level 1, level 2, silence retreats and bhakti satsangs guide the seeker towards this Kashi state where everything is offered, everything is Rama. In Kashi, death is liberation because Bhairava whispers Ram's name into the soul. This is the supreme union of Bhairava and Rama, the destroyer and the preserver, both revealing the same Brahman. In inner Ramayana, the forest is tapas, the demons are vasanas, and the battle is sadhana, and the kashi is the ground where ego dies and the self awakens. Vedic rituals performed with non attachment and devotion to Bhairava and Rama awaken the soul state. This is the Mahadev's city within, and every seeker must build it through daily practice and surrender of sadhana, seva, and satsang. Jai Gurudev.